Hey, this is Kita. I'm standing out in front of the GRAZIA studios here. Watch this video because this video will really keep you attuned to who GRAZIA was and a little bit about his work. So take care and remember to like and subscribe. I love you guys so much. Stand in your light, stand in your truth, and above all else, be a warrior. Bye.
In 1687, Father Francisco Kino, immortal Jesuit missionary, was given northern Sonora, Mexico, and what is now southern Arizona as his parish. Father Kino labored with love and ardent devotion in behalf of his Indian charges. These paintings of Father Kino and his efforts in behalf of the Arizona Indian were created by a native Arizonan who, much like Kino himself, knows and loves the desert of the Southwest and the Indians who live there. The artist is Ted DeGrazia. Ted DeGrazia, born in the copper mining town of Morenci, Arizona, is an artist of many styles. He is an impressionist. He is an abstractionist. He is a realist. He is an Arizonan, as special, as different from other artists, as Arizona is different from her sister states. DeGrazia is not only a painter and sculptor, but also an architect and builder. The gallery in the sun, in the foothills of the Santa Catalina Mountains on the edge of Tucson, is one of his most recent and finest creations.
You know, I've been painting for a long time and made no money at all in it. And one of the reasons I built this gallery is because nobody wanted to show my work. And I wanted to make sort of a setting that would fit the paintings, where the painting would feel more comfortable, where I would feel more comfortable. Too, I know that eventually somebody would build this thing, so I thought I might as well do it. I designed it, and I built it out of material from around this part of the country. For instance, we made it out of mud, because most of the buildings out here were built out of mud. Mud is nothing more than a building. And this gate is a copy of the territorial prison in Yuma. I like jails, but I like them better when the doors are open. Let's go inside and I'll show you. The entrance is made to simulate a mine. And the reason for this is because I was born in a mining camp. And I like the idea of going into my gallery through a tunnel. And the other thing about the tunnel too, or the mine, is that at the end of it, there's gold. That's what I'm finding. I'll show you inside here. You know, walls are very important to a painter. If he doesn't have a wall, he can't hang pictures on it. And I pay a lot of attention to the walls themselves. Some are plastered with rough plaster, and then I paint with 2 to 3 coats of paint. Of course, the painting is done with a dry brush, so that you are aware that it is a wall and not completely covered with a wall. This particular wall is made out of mud. Now, mud alone would have been all right, but when I added straw to it, it made it richer, and it gives a beautiful feeling of texture. This is a floor made out of jumping cactus. Actually, they call it jumping cactus, but the cactus doesn't jump anywhere. People get too close to it, and they get stuck with it. We cut it in sections of about 4 inches, and we put it on the floor, and we put cement around it so that it will hold it in place. And it gives a beautiful feeling. I had intended to do the whole building of cholla, or jumping cactus, but without a question. They're getting scarce, like the beauties out here. And this floor to me gives a feeling of perhaps a magic carpet.
In 1942, Diego Rivera and Jose Orozco sponsored a show of de Grazia's work at the Palace of Fine Arts in Mexico City. Shortly afterwards, de Grazia built a small studio in Tucson. As his work became more popular, he built 4 more studios, and finally, in 1961, this Gallery in the Sun was completed. In building this unique structure, de Grazia included the colors peculiar to the state of Arizona, the colors of the rich earth and of the minerals hidden there. He mixed them to convey his impressions of the beauty he found around him. To de Grazia, the elements of the Southwest are important, not only to his art, but also to his personal surroundings, to his home and courtyard. Another fine example of de Grazia's craftsmanship is the nearby mission dedicated to Padre Kino. De Grazia's hands built this mission with the aid of Indian friends. He used the material of the land just as the Indians do, constructing his mission from adobe.
Well, right now I don't crack.
Occasionally, he still works on his buildings, repairing or constructing new additions.
The way it's mixing now, I think it's mixing about 76 to 1. It's making 18 to 4 shells. 18 a trend? 18 or 4 5 somewhere. Well, 5 more than 18 every time. 3? I don't know what it's about. About 3 to 1. 61, must be about 100 years. It's in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is the first virgin of the American continent. And this happened perhaps about 1539. She is a dark Madonna, like the Indians. The Indians love her. Everybody there who hears of her loves her, and so do I. And so I built this little mission for myself. I'm not a church-going man, but I am a religious man, and perhaps religious only within me. And religion to me is right or wrong. You're doing something right, and you're a religious man. It's not Catholic, it's just a little chapel for anybody who wants to go in there, whether you're Christian or non-Christian.
As a native of Arizona, it is natural that de Grazia would be inspired by his state's patron saint, Father Kino. This vivid series of paintings reveals de Grazia's knowledge and love of Arizona's history, as well as his great respect for Father Kino.
Naturally, being born around this part of the country and hearing of Kino, I got interested in the man. And then I found that he was quite a guy. He not only was the first man who brought cattle to this part of the country, but he is perhaps the only man who came, gave, and wanted nothing in return. If the cattlemen were to have a saint, like we have a saint of the highway, St. Christopher, then I think it should be Father Kino. He was a terrific guy, and I do like people who come and do things and enrich our heritage.
characters portrayed in his work, GRAZIA goes among the people he paints. He often visits Papago friends on the desert near Tucson.
Many times too, I go up north, like 100 miles from here, we have the Apaches. A couple 100 miles further north, we have the Navajos. If I want to paint a painting of a wagon, I often have to go as far as painting the shade. They're getting scarce. Our way of life is homogenizing in such a way that they use trucks instead of horse and a wagon.
The artist frequently goes to Mexico, such as on this occasion, when he traveled to Magdalena in northern Sonora for the festival of St. Francis Assisi. The spirit of the celebration on such occasions is often reflected in his paintings dealing with religious subjects.
These people do believe, and they go out there because they believe. Many of them walk on foot, many of them walk on their knees. The church was so packed that I think it would have taken hours to get in there. And this to me is a sign of very great devotion. And I was very happy to have been there. I don't get out there too much anymore. So there's so many other people know about it, and it becomes a tourist thing. But actually, I don't, there's lots of fighting that process. I wasn't aware. And this is nice. And they have all these little things that they sell and the bird that does their fortune, whether it does or not, makes no difference, but the spirit of the thing was beautiful. But they had some corn, and I love to eat white corn, corn on the cob. White corn is difficult to find. It's not in keeping, it's not stylish. It's un-American. Every time I think of merry-go-round, I think when I was young, I used to go to watch them, and they're happy things. And later on, I made a small merry-go-round out of silver with marbles on it. And by the way, the marbles, the silver is cast around the marble. So I do like merry-go-rounds.
Beeswax, plaster, and clay.
Although I am a painter, I like modeling clay. A painter should be able to do many things besides painting. And I like to do easy, simple things. I work clay, I make pottery, I cast in clay, and I model in clay. Most of the serious work I do in beeswax because it holds better and I can work in it and leave it and come back. In clay you can't. Plasticine, though I like it, it's kind of oily, and I don't like oily things. So I don't work too much in plasticine. And once I make a model, then you make a mold. If it's not complicated, we make a two-piece mold. If it's complicated, then we make a rubber mold. Complicated, then we make a rubber mold. Was once an angel, and the people who were going to cast it thought that perhaps it would be better as Madonna. So all I did was cut the wing off and made a Madonna out of the angel. The crucifix was made out of beeswax, and that I made about the same time I did the Stations of the Cross. It's the same as the painting. This is the way that I think the man must have felt with all the agony and pain, and must have just literally melted or collapsed like a chunk of clay. This is one of my very earliest pieces of clay that I found. I used clay from the Tucson mining camp. Put them in my mother's oven to cook it, although it was baked maybe 200-300 degrees, and clay actually should go up to 1800 degrees. But the thing I remember about it, my mother wasn't happy at all, because in the same oven that I baked this head of Christ out of clay was the same oven that she baked bread 2 times a week. Well, the deer dancer was about 8-10 inches. And then I thought I wanted to make a big deer dancer, because this is the deer dancer or the Yaquis country. The deer dancer, this particular deer dancer belongs to the Yaquis. Though many other Indians have deer dancers, but none as unique as the deer dancer we have here in Arizona. You know, around here we have 2 tribes of Indians. The Papago Indians and the Yaquis. I like them both equally. This happens to be a bronze of the Yaqui deer dancer. He's one of the main figures or characters in the pageant of the Yaquis, especially around Easter, though he comes out and dances quite often for many events. This is a bronze. The original of this I made out of beeswax. Later I had to cast, and in the lost wax process, each one is cast individually. The cost of this, as I look at the tag, is about $1,000. I'm sure that as time goes on, it will be higher and higher in price.
GRAZIA from time to time works with pastels. On this occasion, he works in the first studio he constructed 25 years ago.
Pastel is something I do for the hell of it. It's so easy that I hate to do the damn thing. I do when I give a talk, often when people want something to raise them between $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, I give them a pastel and they photograph it and they sell chances. And it's a way of doing something, although they are worth money, because I know by what they have sold, and people do ask me for pastels. But actually I feel that I can't get my teeth into the pastel I depend on the way.
continuing source of inspiration for GRAZIA is children. The artist spends many hours with the yaki or papago, making friends and sketching. One child in particular, Rachel, is a favorite model.
Mira, mira. Mira, mira. Vete para acá, mira. Mira, mira, Amy. I paint a lot of children, and people love them. And of course, who doesn't love children? And there is a demand, but I would like to do things like horses, grown-up Indians, and I do quite a few of them. And people want children, so I paint children, and I do Indian angels, because I feel too that the Indians do have angels like anybody else has. Of course, I put the little red band around the head. People love them, and I do them.
Although he employs a wide variety of mediums, GRAZIA continually returns to working in oil. He works directly with a palette knife for the most part, rather than with a brush.
Mostly in my paintings I do use a palette knife. And the way this came about, when I first went to university, and I kind of poured a brush, but I thought that this really started to use a palette knife. And when I began to use a palette knife, I was cutting through the boards. I couldn't afford a canvas at that time. So I used to beat up these boards very bad. A lot of people think a palette knife is something new. It actually isn't. I imagine they use palette knife, razor blade, any kind of special they could get. But the knife I use is a straight edge knife, and it's hard to get close to the canvas without hitting your knife on the canvas. So I had to go a long way before I learned how to not to cut the canvas, how to hold a knife almost to balance. And to me, it is pretty much like a fine strum player, because I do put pressure on the knife at different places for different effects I want. And often, when I forget myself, the knife will flip off, just like the ballet dancer will come into the stage and flips up, and then the knife I have to pick up, it gets dented, and I have to resharpen it again. And another thing with a knife, I can complete the idea and not finish it. As a matter of fact, all my paintings are completed, but never finished. By completing, the onlooker can participate. By finishing it, you go as far as the intellect, reasoning, you show how much you know, and that's it. The onlooker sees it, and he's through. With me, in my paintings, I want you to go back and back and back again.
GRAZIA's pictures tell a story. This is partly because there is a story in what inspires them, but mostly because he knows how to find the story. His stories are real, and the resulting paintings are fantasy. His painted world is one of floating colors which illustrate that world of the desert which he loves, and close to which he lives.
Lately, I've been working on a series of paintings. In other words, I don't do any more or as much easel paintings as I used to. I pick on a subject like bull fight, and I do a whole collection, or the Yaquis, the Easter ceremony, where I spend 40 days and 40 nights with the Indians. Did nothing but eat with the Yaquis. And after I got through watching and seeing, because I never sketch in front of the people. I mean, I'm not the kind of painter who puts on a beret and a smock, sets up an easel. I try to retain what I see, and if I don't remember it, then it ain't worth putting down. And so I see it over and over again. And when I go home at night, I perhaps will do a few notes on them, only because it's got to be correct.
Another of de Grazia's favorite subjects is horses. They are vividly depicted in his series on the rodeo, done in 1954 and never shown until now. This series is based on Indian rodeos, but especially on one of his favorites, the popular rodeo on the reservation near Tucson.
Often I go to the popular reservation and just hang around, see what things they're doing. The place I like to go is Sells. Once a year they have a fair and they have a rodeo. And I get a lot of inspiration and I do a lot of paintings. So quite often I hang around these paintings in Arizona South.
It's hard to watch.
So this is the way I spend my life, mostly around this part of the country. Anything that's Southwest, anything that's Mexican, anything that's Indian horses. Everything I do is combined with my work. But I am a dedicated man. I put nothing ahead of my pleasures except my work.
De Grazia's dedication to basic humanistic principles gives his creations an authenticity and a direct appeal which go far beyond the region in which he lives. In his work, de Grazia touches the heart and reveals not only his Southwest, but also himself as man and artist.